Levens. Join us. Jess lives with his wife, sons, and dogs in Holliston, Massachusetts, where he draws inspiration from New England's landscapes and history. His debut chapbook, A Break in the Spine, is available from Alien Buddha Press, and his poetry has been published in the Dilly Down Review, Roy Athenian Press, and Prometheus Streaming. Jess is a Marine Corps veteran and a Northeast University alum, and we welcome you, Jess. Thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm gonna set a timer too. Yeah, I had to cut about half of my original set because I did a dry run and it was a lot longer than I thought. One second. So, thank you so much to the New England Poetry Club and to the trustees for having me. Thank you, everyone who's here, for coming out. This is my first poetry reading, so bear with me if I'm a little bit nervous here. I'm pretty new to it. I started seriously writing poetry in December of 2021, and put out a lot of content last year. This year I haven't had as much time to write as I would like. But I'm really happy with the community that I found with the poetry club and like-minded individuals. And like Tom, a lot of my writing is based on family life and the things that I do and see. Most of the poetry in my book is based on things from 2022. So I'm going to go ahead and start the timer. And this first poem is called Farm Cemetery, and it's about a little cemetery I found while exploring with my wife in Sherburne, Massachusetts. Farm Cemetery. Headstones rest behind field stones, hand-hewn rows to foot the pines. Cloven hooves scar the snow and show the greening calm of life. Hug me down, O tender moss, in your sweetly supple trap. Make of me the stuff of earth, make future from my past. And this next poem is called Last Snow in a Small New England Town. And this is just from observations driving around toward the end of last winter. The gold and silver meld morning splendor, projecting cold warmth and glowing shadows at the dawn's fleeting in between. As the day grows long, winter's longer gone. Its gray goes blue, stippled with pops of green, and trees cry white in varied states. This bittersweet is the bard's sweet sorrow. My walls are streaked with stains of teary chalk, and only salt adorns my walk. This next poem is about my favorite street to drive down. It's called Causeway, and although it's not itself trustee land, it is the gateway to several other trustee properties, which is one of the reasons I love the street so much. It's a common road about 3 miles long. A quick left not far beyond the heart-scarred sycamore where I carved my name plus hers. A serpentine street, it slithers between piled lines of knee-high stones, the mossy bones of dead farms, reborn wild and overgrown. The canopy labors under winter's weight. Chilling hilltop howls break down weary boughs as I slow and crawl to a twinkling veil. Cascading crystal mist opaques my path. It dangles for a breath, and with a breath, diamond drizzle fades back into the dawn. Creeping past the clearing's throat, silver sun slips behind the pines and prints zebra stripes along the crumbling snow-white blacktop. As floodplains flank, a bridge spans the river. Calm, she flows in the morning's flooding bright, this place where too many fish slipped my hook. Then again, I'm swallowed whole by the wood and its towering dark. Flickers of light bombard the glass as I squint toward the end. I approach a colonial kirkyard, a hill built by bloody bold and the husks of the new world, hopeful but dead too soon. A perfect terminus, but not yet mine. I turn around and drive back down the road, plunging headlong into the blinding gold. This next one is written after we took a family vacation last summer in central Vermont, and we were staying in an antique farmhouse, and it was unusually hot. It was 3 days in a row in the 90s, and the house had no air conditioning, so it was It was pretty wild. This is Cavendish, 1821. Dark summer air rises through the piney farmhouse floor. This is too hot for Vermont. When everything soft feels like worn-out flannel, there's no cool side of the pillow. The river gurgling below offers no relief. I'm choking on idyllic green. This next one is a poem in 4 parts called Bugs We've Known. Part 1, Jamie's house spider. In our old house, when we lived down south, a house spider my wife adored wove a web in the corner by the back door. He caught and ate houseflies and mayflies and fruit flies. Nobody sweep that web away, she'd say. In the winter, I saw her hang a dead moth there with tweezers. Then one day, he was gone. Off to mate, the encyclopedia said. 2. Josiah's bumblebee. For weeks and weeks, Josiah avoided the garden walkway and its bumblebees buzzing back and forth. Fearing the sting, he'd cry and scream whenever they flew near. On a drive to the park, he screeched from the back seat. A bumblebee walked along his trembling knee, then gently flew away. Now Josiah walks through the garden. 3. Daniel's firefly. Wading down the Black River, I threw nymphs while Daniel served as my net man. A big firefly landed on his shoulder. Jeremy, he called it, stayed put for a good half mile. I caught no trout, but I saw the grin of a metal-mouthed boy dotted with red bug bites as he marveled at Jeremy's weak bioluminescence in the daylight. Part 4, my lunar moth. I stepped outside one May morning to find a lunar moth helpless on the stairs. Her wings were faded jade, purple gilded and ornamental tipped, like Georgian house trim. Barely could she flutter, so I placed her in a flower pot to gracefully starve. No mouth parts ensures a beautiful week, the artist's self-destructing masterpiece. This next one is something I wrote while I was away for work last summer. It's called Business Trip. We suck in air before a sonic sprint and turn up our nose to snub the dawn. Taking flight, we roll westward to avoid the orange crack of light, the yellow strip that's always beneath my hotel room door. In essence, this is time travel, but just a little. Starlfjör expands in my head, but I don't speak Icelandic, so there's room for these thoughts to coexist. Looking left and down, Boston Harbor sailboats are tadpoles in a puddle, then stubble on a chin, then nothing at all. Only dark clouds. My mind is on autopilot, just like this airship. I try to skip to the good part, buying the boys cheap dream catchers at the departing airport, flying over this green and brown toddler puzzle, back to the woods of Walden, where ghosts of sharp-tongued women haunt houses with wild nights in their eyes and abolition in their hearts. I walk up the drive as they dash to greet me. I go inside, fend off the dogs, and melt into her cheek. But then, 3 hard bumps jostle me awake. Welcome to Sioux Falls. This next one I wrote after a night at our little Holliston Town Carnival. This is the Boys of Scrambler Car number 9. Okay. Boys of Scrambler Car number 9. The small carnival's screams and shouts hissed in and out like a loud TV 2 rooms away. The Friday neon bulbs extended the dusk, so no one knew night's sticky darkness had coated the summer town. A pair of brothers stepped through the gate, cocksure and ready to conquer the spinning silver beast, torque-driven pods in triplicate, the Scrambler. Newly acquired height and bulk gained by way of adolescence gave them the tools to ride it true. The barkers lacked bite as the boys strode past the walls of Motley Crue Coke mirrors and not quite SpongeBob's, beyond the baby trains and cliffhanger, until you must be this tall to ride. At the Scrambler's doorstep, they stood tall enough, 8 tickets in hand. While the latest victims wobbled toward the exit, the boys steeled themselves with fraternal love, ready to pay the toll. Finelli's man was missing a bifocal and had a droopy lip. Demon tattoos danced down below a safety first stamped sleeve as he dutifully enclosed the kiddos and double-checked safety belts and door locks and latches, just thorough enough to avoid disappointing New England's king of traveling amusement parks. He returned to the helm of the alloy monster and pressed the button. The boys sat in the 9th car, waiting as gears clicked along metal bellows, gripping each other in the mechanized maelstrom. Fun swelled as speed increased. They shrieked and grinned through the spinning. Right boy's long hair went vertical. Laughter flew from his cavernous mouth like evening bats benighting the sunset's final flourish. A few more undulations told a different story for left boy. Brown hands gone white knuckle as he held fast to the safety bar. His blank stare, complexion going pale and green. Oh no. But after 3 more pulses, left boy rallied. His nerve had returned. He and right boy hollered and lifted up their arms in defiance as the 3-minute eternity squeaked to a halt. The dizzy boys dismounted and staggered to the gate, triumphant and cool. That night, we listened to our young raconteurs, our brave little boys of Scramble Car number 9. This next one is pretty self-explanatory. It's called Powder Point Bridge. It's our first getaway without the boys, only me and her, my navigator, my DJ, my everything. Exploring the South Shore, we inch down toward the Cape. Powder Point, next left. We turn onto a long wooden bridge that spans the sea between the island and the mainland. Our tires kick up tired planks and bang them back into place. The sound is like bowling pins, rhythmic 7/10 splits falling over and over. A slow speed limit extends the detour, for which I'm ever glad. I glance over as her boyfriend's shirt slips off her shoulder, pinstripes breaking with the contour of her arm. Sweat muddles salty air, building tendrils from wisps, blowing back. We're flowing back and back when she flashes teenage eyes from the side of her shades. I go all irresponsible. The kids, the house, the job, all vanish for a breath. This microdose of youth tastes like orange soda and saltwater taffy, peppermint lip balm that isn't mine. We're still those young fools, but now we can afford fancy meals. Exiting the bridge, we whip around and lump back across, laughing and singing along to songs our sons have never heard. Driving into the weekend, only us. This next poem is called Seaside Trappings, and it's about one of our favorite places on the Cape. But I'm not going to be more specific because it may or may not involve a crime. So, here we go. We and the boys bound down a sandy path, brushed by petite cedars and knee-high scrub, past a nosy octogenarian, all the way down to the private beach. In reality, we are trespassing, but her happiest childhood memories give us the divine right to encroach here, so we press on as if the beach were ours. It's hot on the Cape, but not quite summer. No invasive schools to clog the coastline. The jetty's ramparts unfold a lagoon behind the dunes of the barrier split. Pink and brown ice cream globs remelt and roll down sticky chins as the fiddlers scurry down to avoid careless footfalls, and hurried hermits tuck in and hold fast. Halfway to the low-tide sandbar, the boys splash and play on the ankle-deep seafloor, snatching horseshoe crabs by their barbs, bravely, safe in the powerful ocean's embrace. We sit and watch from a sun-soaked wooden bench as little t-shirts dry beside us. The flag above whips at half speed, ticking down this brief, fleeting eternity. As she deploys and joins the boys at sea, As she deploys and joins the boys at sea to snap photos of our life's work, I press my own shutter, hiding the negatives away in the deepest part of my heart. The salt stings a cut on my toe from a bivalve shard, but it's the pain of a day like today. Extra ink in my mind's journal, adding more ridges to the memory. If heaven does exist, I think I'll pass. It can't be as good as this. Today is a revelry I lament to leave, but here I will always return and get lost. And this is the one I planned to close with, but I might have time for one bonus one, since everybody else did a response poem. I might have to as well. So this is called Tides, and this is the first real poem that I ever wrote. It's very dramatic. All bones and brains in battered boxes, my father's ashes lost at sea. Starless we search and rudderless ride, bobbing along in different tides. Then collide we curl on jagged shores, the crashing plows my dust with yours. Now jellied mud merged, the tides retake, all bones and brains left in our wake. Okay, and it looks like I do have time for the bonus. And this one is a response poem to Carolyn Kaiser's Plaint of the Poet in the Ignorant Age from 1959, and I wrote this after a hike at Rocky Narrows, which is, surprise, trustee land. Always inspirational. Here we go. On a late summer morning, I ventured into Rocky Narrows as the sun peaked the horizon. Flora's cool darkening crowded the trail, and deeper I pushed. In the shade, dewy ferns overreached to deposit deer ticks onto my tall socks. Stopping to sweep them away, a bird I'd never heard squawked a song from the treetops. It was then I thought of dear Miss Kaiser, slinking about in a jazzy housecoat, perplexed and sucking on a green olive, trying to wake those dozing metaphors. And I would I were a botany boy or a bug boy with a backpack full of books, but no, I am, at 39, a poetry man with little time to learn. So I forgot the no-name bird singing in the no-name tree and stomped my way down the path, scaring squirrels and kicking pine cones, bruising my arches on paunchy acorns.